Hi guys, I'm back again today with another reaction video, and today we're checking out the last moments of David Wood's career, Muhammad Hijab versus David Wood. Let's check this out. Before we do start, don't forget to subscribe, click the bell button, and let's get it.
So in the Quran, we've got Allah swearing by literally everything. We'll be talking about that in a few moments. Given that we find these things in the Muslim sources, I'm truly interested in how we can sit here and poke fun at the doctrine of the Trinity. Now, the real basis I find for reconciling these texts with the doctrine of tawheed is that Muslim scholars don't let you know this stuff, which is why you think it's funny when you're hearing it.
Time is up, Dr. Wood.
I wonder what he was talking about.
Now we're going to start our second part, which is the 12-minute rebuttal. And going first is Mr. Muhammad Hijab. You can go ahead.
I think David Wood has said some career-ending, embarrassing statements today. I mean, to be honest with you, after 20 years of researching Islam, you come with this. Okay, let's deal with one by one. Allah says that Allah yusalli ala nabi, and he's here saying that he prays to the Prophet. There's a difference between yusalli lahu and yusalli ala in the Arabic language. I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen. I knew I was going to have to give you a free Arabic lesson here today. I knew it. And that's why the translators put for, not to the Prophet. You don't know what the words in Arabic mean. Don't speak salah. Come on, please, don't embarrass yourself. Allah has parts. He says Muslim scholars say we should take this literally. Which Muslim scholars? Which Muslim scholars? He says kullu shay'in halik illa wajha in Surah Al-Qasas, chapter 20 of the Quran. Means everything is destroyed except for his face. And this means that Allah, all his body parts will be destroyed. He has body parts in these things. First of all, the word kull in Arabic doesn't necessarily mean all. As-Subki wrote a book, Al-Kull wa ma tadul. And he said, and he shows with examples, that the word kull doesn't mean all. I'll give you an example. In chapter 46 of the Quran, Surah Al-Ahqaf, تُدَمِّرُ كُلُّ شَيْءٍ بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهَا فَأَصْبَحُوا لَا يُرَى إِلَّا مَسَاكِنَهُمْ. That the wind destroyed everything, كُلُّ شَيْء, the same words here in Surah Al-Qasas. Everything was destroyed except for their houses. If it meant every single thing, it wouldn't have been, their houses would not be there. So the word kull doesn't mean that in Arabic language. Once again, it's a problem with language. He says that, this is exactly his words. He said the Quran is an eternal person. Tell me one scholar in the history of Islam who said that. This is a lie. He says the Quran is it will come as a shafi'ah on the day of judgment. So if this is the question, I'll put it better for you, I'll help you. Yeah, if the Quran is an attribute of God, how can it intercede for you? This is what he's saying, right? It's a good question. This is a good question, but it's not a proper understanding of the hadith. This is the only good question you had. I'll give it to you. This is the only good question you had. The hadith says iqra al-Quran. So it's not that the Quran, i.e. the attribute of Allah, that will intercede for you on the day of judgment, but it is your qira'ah of the Quran and the thawab that you get of the Quran, which means the reward you get from the recitation of the Quran, not the Quran as an attribute of Allah. Yeah? He says, therefore, there's 114 persons of the Quran, two called fallacy. I told you he would do it and appeal to hypocrisy. So here are you admitting that having more than one person of a being of God is wrong, because you should lead to Trinitarianism then. But obviously, as we know, there's no one in the history of Islam that referred to the surah of the Quran as persons. This is wrong. You don't know about Islam. Here you're being educated. He said, وَلَمْ تَكُنْ لَهُ صَاحِبًا. He didn't know the Arabic, but I'm going to give him the Arabic. In chapter 6, verse 108 of the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Allah did not have a mate. So does this mean, what does this mean? That biological, they had a discussion about biological. Really and truly, how can you have a begotten son? There's only three options. Number one, biology. Number two, adoption. And number three, metaphor. And if you say it's not biology and it's not adoption, it must be a metaphor. So Jesus is not a son of God. Okay. And then he says that the Prophet, they played, they tried to get his hair and the spit and these things. Okay, well if you think spitting on someone makes you a god, well that's what it implies, then I wonder why you look at every other verse of the Bible as implying that Jesus was God. Because for you, a spit, that's making me a god now. I mean,
why would
don't
somebody
embarrass
think
yourself
that?
in front of me. Assalamu alayka, he said this means that he's interceding, because it's a narrative voice. Assalamu alayka, we say this in the tashahhud every time. It's a narrative voice. However, let's not say it's a narrative voice. Let's give it to him. He says this must mean that the Prophet Muhammad is omnipresent. Yes, he's omnipresent. Let's have fun with him today. There is a hadith in Bukhari which says that whenever one person does salah on the Nabi, which means blessings and praise on the Prophet, blessings on the Prophet, the angel will carry that and give it to him. It doesn't mean that he's hearing it everywhere. The angel is moving it around. This is from the will of Allah. And if you didn't know that, now you do. He says that Kalimatullah, that Isa being referred to as the word of Allah, must mean that he is divine. So although the Quran says clearly that he's not divine, no, it makes a mistake, he is divine.
Wait, I'm sorry. I just wanna make sure that because I was like, wait, am I blind or is it really low quality? But this is...
You're all over the place. You're fumbling all over the place. It's embarrassing. Kalimatullah is defined in chapter 3 verse 58 of the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna mathala Isa عند الله كمثل آدم خلقه من تراب ثم قال له كن فيكون.
5 minutes left.
He said to him, be, and he was. The word is defined in the Quran as be. So Allah says be, and things are. Just like he said be with Adam, he said be with Jesus, and he was. He says that there are 7 planetary things in Arabia and these things. I mean, how can you make a judgment? First of all, I haven't got a reference for that. I didn't see a reference. He didn't say, yes, I give you a reference here. It says Bukhari, whatever. Even if he's got a reference, how do you know that the practice originated from that and not from Abraham? After all, Abraham, even in the Old Testament, yes, he pre-existed before Jesus, even though you have, the physical Jesus, and he was there in the desert. And you have in the book of Psalms mention of pilgrimage. So, if this is the case, then I wonder why this is mentioned. Now I think this is all that he kind of mentioned. I want to give you one principle, ladies and gentlemen, that will destroy everything he said. The Quran says, chapter 42, verse 11, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ, that there's nothing like him. You cannot do tashbih or tamtheel of Allah. Anything that we see in the Quran, talking about the hand, talking about the face, all of these things, you can rest assured because of this verse and the other verse, وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٍ, that this means, yes, this means it cannot be compared to anything you imagine. لَا تُدْرِكُ الْأَبْصَارُ وَهُوَ يُدْرِكُ الْأَبْصَارُ. In the Quran, anyways, I mean every Muslim knows this, but the idea is an implicit admission here that I've lost. This is what I come up with. I've lost. Yes, we know Trinitarianism is so confusing, but I'm going to show you how much tawheed is confusing as well. I have admitted defeat, therefore I'm going down. I'm going to try and take you down with me.
Yeah, exactly. That's
really what you're trying to say to me, David Wood. I know by the look of your face here, you would probably agree with me. Let's be honest. Look at his face. Everyone, ladies and gentlemen, take a look at his face. Yes. Anyways, I've got a few minutes left. Let me recite some Quran because I've done with this guy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says in chapter number 19, verse number 31, about Jesus. This is what we believe about Jesus. قال إني عبد الله آتاني الكتاب وجعلني نبيا وجعلني مباركا أينما كنت وأوصاني بالصلاة والزكاة ما دمت حيا وبرا بوالدتي ولم يجعلني جبارا شقيا والسلام علي يوم ولدت ويوم أموت ويوم أبعث حيا ذلك عيسى بن مريم قول الحق الذي فيه يمترون قول الحق الذي فيه يمترون ما كان لله أن يتخذ من ولد سبحانه إذا قضى أمرا فإنما يقول له كن فيكون وإن الله ربي وربكم فاعبدوه هذا صراط مستقيم فاختلف الأحزاب من بينهم فويل للذين كفروا من مشهد يوم عظيم. The Isa said Jesus, according to this is, guys, Christians, this is what Allah says in the Quran. Listen to it. Tell me if this is not a better model for you. Be honest. This is Jesus. He says, I am the slave of Allah, of God. He gave me the book and He made me a prophet. Just like in chapter 8 of Mark, verse
1 minute left.
Yes, 48. People thought Jesus was a prophet in the Old Testament, in the New Testament time, in the time of Jesus when He was alive. And He made me blessed wherever I am. This is what we believe of Jesus. He made me blessed wherever I am. You know. وَأَوْصَانِي بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالزَّكَاةِ مَا دُمْتُ حَيًّا. And He told me to pray and to give charity so long as I am alive. You know? This is what we believe about Jesus Christ. وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي. I was good with my mother. وَلَمْ أَكُنْ جَبَّارًا شَقِيًّا. I wasn't an arrogant person. وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيَّ يَوْمَ وُلِدْتُ. And peace be upon me the day I was born, and the day I die, and the day I will come back to life. That is Jesus, son of Mary, the one who you differed about. Jazakumullahu khairan.
Before we start on...
Oh, I want to watch this whole thing. Maybe we'll actually do that. Let me know if you want to when I come back, because this is going to be uploaded when I'm away. And let me know if you want me to watch the whole thing. Maybe we can split it into parts, because it sounds really interesting, and I want to hear David Wood's parts as well. Because I just want to see what he was talking about, right? Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. If you like this video, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.